Hey everybody, welcome to the first live presentation of Flix and Joystix. I'm Guy, and with me is my faithful pup, Frodo Wagons. He sometimes hangs out with me, and he felt like checking out the show, so he wanted to say hi to everybody. As I'm an early channel, I don't expect a lot of viewers to check out this first one, but if you want to go back and watch it later, hey, awesome, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. So I wanted to talk a little bit about E3 that's currently going on right now and will continue to do so all week. E3, if you don't know, is the Electronic Entertainment Expo that takes place every year in Los Angeles, outside of those 2 years that it went in Atlanta, but that was back in the 90s. And it's basically the Disneyland of video games. So right now, what's going on is all the major publishers and developers are showcasing all their latest video games that are happening right now. And if you're able to attend, whether you work at one of these companies or if you manage to get a pass to go over there, you get to see these games often several months in advance, anywhere from a year to 6 months, or in the case of Square, 9 years. That's just how Square works these days. So they've done all the major presentations already for the big three, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. And right now, they are, a lot of companies still haven't shown all their wares. Some of the more major publishers, such as Ubisoft, Square, Bethesda, they've all shown some of their titles. More announcements will be made during the course of the week. I tend to call this time of the week the bombshell period. But right now, let's get into what they've been showing. Look at that cute, scruffy creature with fluffy hair. That could go either way, honestly, for me or Frodo. So let's go to Microsoft. A little bit about me is last generation, I had an Xbox 360. I didn't really feel the Xbox One this year. I decided to go to PlayStation 4. So I didn't really, but it's not actually that bad because they're doing a lot of the Xbox exclusives over on PC as well. So I don't feel like I'm missing out too terribly much, although I wish they'd finally drop Rare Replay. But of course, the big announcement for me anyway is Battletoads. It's going to be 3-player couch co-op. I don't know if it's going to be online as well. This is the first Battletoads game in ever. It's been such a long time. It's got to at least be the early mid-90s. I'm sure GameStop is thrilled about all the Battletoads questions that they're going to be getting again. But I'm personally excited. It's coming out to PC, so I don't feel like I'm going to be missing it, and that's awesome for me. Cuphead is getting, let's see, so when we call people and go, do you have Battletoads? They will be yes, absolutely. Absolutely. They'll actually be able to. Oh, I feel bad for years and years of poor GameStop employees. But Cuphead's coming out. Well, Cuphead has come out, but they're doing some DLC, more expansion, more levels, a new character. Cuphead was amazing looking, easily one of the most visually impressive games of last year, I thought, just because of the old style animation that looked like classic cartoons of the 20s, 30s, 40s. So they're doing more game. That's totally fine by me. I'm excited about that. Other games like Crackdown 3, that's going to be a new one. So if you haven't played that in a while, well, here you go. Here's a new sequel coming soon. They didn't really have a lot of exclusives. It seems like they just kind of have a lot of, it's not that they don't have good games, it's just that they don't have a lot of games exclusive to the Xbox. You'll be able to get, I kind of feel that for the most part, PlayStation and Xbox are kind of the same thing. I know that's probably blasphemy to some more diehard fans, but it is what it is. And, but, you know, they do have exclusives that you can't get anywhere else. I'm glad that Microsoft is finally making use of some of their Rare properties because they buy these things and then they sat on them forever. So yay, Battletoads. Again, I'm pretty thrilled about that. PlayStation had a interesting presentation. I don't know. It was a rough first half as far as I was concerned. I think they tried to get a little too artsy for their own good. I think it's semi-disastrous to move an entire crowd of people around to 4 different areas while the presentation is going on. You are asking a lot of people. And I didn't think that went as well as they intended. However, and then they also had a bunch of technical difficulties, which was rough. It was a rough first half of that. But when they sat down and started talking about all the games, that was much better. You know, there are certainly some games that I'm looking forward to. Some of the biggest ones I'm looking forward to are Spider-Man. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and this one looks new and exciting, and it's a nice modern take on Spider-Man. More importantly, it looks like it's going to do the similar web swinging mechanics of Spider-Man 2. That was one of my favorite GameCube games just because of the sheer freedom that was involved with that game. So I'm super hyped to have another chance to actually swing around the New York City as Spider-Man. And hopefully, you know, they've got what it looks like there's going to be their version of the Sinister Six, which is cool again. I don't know if they'll be announcing all of Spider-Man's best and greatest villains. I still didn't see a couple like Venom and Dr. Octopus or Green Goblin. So there's still a couple that they could work with. But from what I saw, I was very impressed. It's coming out this fall. I'm definitely hyped. The other great game that I'm looking forward to is Kingdom Hearts 3. I've been following this since 2006. I know there's been a bunch of prequels and sidequels and nyquels and dayquels and everything else that they've been doing with that. It's taken forever to come out with Kingdom Hearts 3, and there was actually coming a point where I didn't think it was actually going to come out. I thought they were just going to, you know, just hand out more quels, and there you go. That's enough for you. But they've been showing off some. The trailer for this has been very weird because, like, Microsoft had their version, Sony had their version, Square's had their version. The one that Sony showed, however, showed off Pirates of the Caribbean, and it looks more realistic than ever. And that one is definitely a nostalgic hit for me. I was involved with one of the Pirates of the Caribbean films. That's another story for another time, but it was a really cool experience for me. And to see that coming back looking as especially nice as it does is really exciting. I don't know if they got Johnny Depp to voice Jack Sparrow this time, but if they did, awesome. And if they didn't, the sound-alike guy that they got for Jack is really impressive. Disney and Square have been really good about getting the original actors to reprise their roles and voices in Kingdom Hearts. So I'm kind of hoping that some of the Pirates of the Caribbean actors have, you know, been able to allot some time for this project, because I'd be excited to hear them all again. And it looks great. I mean, all the levels look great. It's everything from Wreck-It Ralph. I'm not a huge Frozen fan, but the Frozen world looks cool, especially with all the sledding. I'm hyped. There's a lot of worlds, and there's a couple that they still haven't announced yet. So hoping for the best. I hope they get a little bit weird with it. Let's see what else has been going on. I have a couple notes to kind of remind me of everything that's going on. Resident Evil 2 remake is a thing. That's another Birdman world. Yes. Oh God. Wow. That's a retro one. Condor Man is wow. That would be super retro. I think the last time Condor Man was referenced was a Power Disc in Disney Infinity. So that's on the retro obscure of Disney. And they could always do the Cat from Space. That would be fun as well. Or the Computer That Wore Tennis Shoes, if we're going to go super, super deep into the Disney lore. Resident Evil 2 remake. As I said, it's coming out. I know they did a great Resident Evil 1 remake back for GameCube, and it's periodically re-released over the years. Resident Evil 2 looks cool. I love the little nod to the original PlayStation 1 at the beginning of the cinematic. Are you patient, or do you want the cat from outer space? Right, meow. All right, meow, settle down. And so, yeah, I love the little nod to that. And it looks great. It looks gory. I know there's some gameplay videos that I've really been wanting to sit down with, but, you know, E3, there's just so much that draws your attention, so it's hard to focus on everything. But they've redesigned the character looks for Leon and Claire. I don't know how to feel about them. Overall, I think they're okay, but I've seen some promotional art of Claire, and she looks 14 now, and that's a little weird. Actually, that's a lot weird, but maybe it's just one angle, maybe it's one image. With every game that's being shown right now, they're still in development. Things change. Things could be added. Things could be taken out. That's just the nature of the business with these games. Other ones that looked really cool. Actually, I get this one because I know I'm going to mangle the poor name of this, but it looked awesome. It was the Ghost of Tsushima. That game is set in feudal Japan. The attacks look great. The voice acting looks solid. There's so much going on in the background. It's beautiful and colorful. And I feel that a lot of modern games are always that third person behind the character adventure. And it really, for me, it takes something really special to stand out. And I feel that the Ghost of Tsushima was one of those games where absolutely beautiful. And I'm totally on board with that one. And, I'm just waiting to see what they're going to do. I think it looks very open world, and I hope it is. I hope there's some missions, but I hope you get to explore this world that obviously the developers have so painstakingly created. So I'm excited about that. Other games, there was another one, Trover Saves the Universe, which is done by the guy who created Rick and Morty and even has some of the voices. And that looks funny. It's the same weird Rick and Morty humor that fans appreciate. So that one's actually supposed to be in VR as well. I don't know how that one's going to work. I've been wanting to get a VR system. I think between that and Tetris Effect, which also looks really kind of new age, techno-y, electronic. It's funny how they go back and take all these classic games and then try to make them into a more modern audio visual experience, and while keeping the core gameplay. Tetris Effect, I was like, oh, it's just Tetris. What else can they do? And then I was like, I'm kind of feeling this music. So I'm pretty excited about that one as well. And then, oh yes, Death Stranding with Norman Reedus. That one looks super weird. That one's by Kojima Productions. So that's got a good pedigree at least. Still haven't figured that one out yet. It looks, as I said, it looks weird. We'll hope for the best on it, but I'm sure it'll be a good game, since that seems to be one of Sony's main showcase games. Now for Switch, if you're a Nintendo fan, then obviously you've been waiting for Super Smash Brothers. In this case, it's Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Some of the big highlights of this is that every single character that's ever been in a Smash Brothers game is back, even characters like young Link and Pichu, and other classic returning characters such as Ice Climbers and Snake are back. It's kind of interesting in the sense that there's been a lot of rumors that have been coming out. This one guy that was featured on Reddit said all the characters were coming back. Ridley was going to be playable, which is true. Snake and Ice Climbers are coming back, which is true. Again, all the characters. A couple other things that they said were going to happen. We haven't seen any reveals yet, but we still have a couple days to go, and they tend to pepper out little surprises and things so you don't just like tap out the first day. But they're saying, and I hope this is true, that Simon Belmont from Castlevania will be a playable fighter, and that Minecraft will be involved in the game in some way, probably maybe as a world. Maybe Steve from Minecraft will be a playable character. I'm totally on board with it. I feel that Castlevania, especially for me, is one that I definitely want, because I feel that it represents the classic Nintendo era, and also because Mega Man and Pit are in there, I want to finally fulfill my Captain N dreams and have the whole N team assembled, because I'm dorky like that. So, but that was a lot of Nintendo's whole thing. They talked about Super Mario Party, which I'm not really the biggest Mario Party fan. However, I appreciate that you can link Switch screens together to actually increase the size of your playing board, which I think is really innovative and new. Oh, by the way, we're having a thunderstorm right now, so a little bit of thunder in the background. So that's kind of my spooky 3, or not. But let's see, I'm trying to think what else. They had some new Pokemon games. They had the new Pikachu and Eevee games. They have a new Pokeball controller, which should be pretty cool. Makes little noises that sound like little Pokemon trapped inside your ball. And then you can import data from Pokemon Go. So they're really getting into it. I think that's super cool. Didn't really see a lot, however, from Nintendo in terms of what else they're doing. They still didn't answer some of the biggest questions from fans in general, and also from me, which is, where's online? That's coming out in 3 months. And they still said absolutely nothing about when online is going to be added, how they're going to fix and update the user interface, because that's incredibly overdue. Nothing about a potential of a Nintendo 64 Classic, any older games, GameCube, Wii games. No mention of Metroid or Yoshi, or really any major third-party support, or even any of the 3DS games. There's supposed to be a Wario and Luigi's Mansion game coming for 3DS. Nothing's been shown. I'm hoping that these games will eventually surface. We've still got the rest of the week to go. So here's hoping for the best. Now, other companies such as Bethesda, they focus primarily on one game as well, and that was Fallout 76. Looks really interesting. I'm not as much of a Fallout player. The missus, however, is. She definitely likes playing that. This one looks to be set into a little bit of an earlier stage in Fallout history where there's actually some greenery around. So that's new and cool. And apparently players can get, it's more of an online experience, and players can get access to keys to detonate their own nuclear devices. So that should be hilarious. Of course, there's sequels to Doom. There's Doom Eternal. There's Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is set in the 1980s. Elder Scrolls 6. Skyrim 6, or, well, I guess it wouldn't be Skyrim. It'll probably focus on a new land. A new game called Starfield, which I'm guessing is probably like a Fallout Elder Scrolls game that will be set in space, and I am down for that. So nothing too earth-shatteringly major in terms of announcements. We've pretty much known all their games that are coming out. Still, it's cool to see it confirmed and just know that it's coming. They did drop Fallout Vault on Switch, so there's Fallout on a Nintendo system for the first time. Still haven't heard if any of the prior games will be remastered like Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 for the Switch. Have a little bit of a nose itch. I apologize about that. A couple other games. Ubisoft is doing a new game called Starlink, which is a Toys for Life game. I was initially a little mixed. I've been burned by Toys to Life games like Disney Infinity and Lego Dimensions. I thought those were great because it was basically all the major properties that I loved, and they were canceled within 2 years. So not really hyped about getting a new Toys to Life game, but they said that element is really downplayed. You can get all the stuff digitally, so you don't have to really get into the ships. However, for the Switch, they're doing exclusive R-Wing and Fox McCloud from Star Fox. So you'll be able to intersperse that. The model for it, if you haven't seen it, look it up. It's beautiful. It's definitely going to make a lot of Nintendo fans excited. And I love space games. I don't think there's enough of them. And the fact that this one is supposed to have a similar thing where you're flying in space and land on planets similar to No Man's Sky. Say what you will about that game, but I loved that aspect of it. And, I will probably end up with an R-Wing, but I'm not. I've already made up my mind. I'm not getting into the whole toy investment. So I will probably be very selective if I continue on any figure parts past that. Square had some great games. They did. The presentation was like, I've already seen this at everyone else's presentation. There were games missing, like The World Ends With You, which was briefly shown in Nintendo's presentation. And Project Octopath Traveler, it looks great. But Kingdom Hearts 3 was shown. There are games that, again, fall into that nebulous realm of, are you really doing it, or is it already just premature on it? Final Fantasy VII Remix was not even mentioned, although they're saying that might come out in 2023, which I think is ridiculous. Other games, like they're supposed to be doing a game based off Marvel's Avengers. There's rumors that they're doing a game off Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. No mention. I don't know what they're doing, but I just felt like all of Square's content you could have seen at any other presentation, and realistically you did. So there's a lot of cool games coming out, and as we're going on throughout the week, there will be some other great games coming out soon. The other factor I wanted to talk about right now is there's been a lot of upcoming movie peaks. This is the Flix part of Flix and Joystix, so I want to talk about some upcoming movies that look really cool. So there's been a lot of trailers that dropped. I won't really do any trailer reactions. I don't really see that for this channel. If you need a trailer reaction, here you go. There you go. There's your trailer reaction. That's just put it all through the next few that I show. Wreck-It Ralph 2. Ralph Breaks the Internet's coming out this year around Thanksgiving. That looks really great. I love the first Wreck-It Ralph movie. I'm excited to see that, and especially in the sense of, because they do blend all the Marvel and Star Wars and Disney princesses, and it's all the original voice actresses, which I think is really cool. This looks like a good version of the Emoji Movie, because the Emoji Movie should never have happened, and yet it did, and now we're stuck with it. But this looks like a good version, although straight up, I'm going to admit, I kind of cringe a little bit at seeing Facebook and Google and Twitter and all this stuff in a Disney animated classic. There's just something kind of gross about it. I'm going to have to get over that just because I like the characters, and I think this will be a better movie than the before-mentioned Emoji Movie. So here's hoping. I think it'll be good. I just wish that they'd focused a little bit more on the video game aspects of Wreck-It Ralph, because I really, really loved that from the first movie. Let's see. There is Lego Movie 2, the second part, which also looks fun. That the first movie was better than it had any right to be, and it was a funny, fun movie that had a lot of heart in it and a lot of likable characters and just some really neat ideas about the power of imagination and creativity. And then it all focused on the end with Duplo was coming to invade Lego World, and that's where they left the first one off. This one, I'm guessing, is probably going to pick up directly from that because it looks kind of post-apocalyptic in the trailers. I think that's funny. I hope they do some great ideas, just go crazy. I kind of feel that the Lego Dimensions game was kind of taking the Lego Movie to heart and making it an actual interactive experience. They ran with the concept. But now Lego Dimensions is gone, so you kind of have to go back to the Lego Movie to get this. We're mixing everyone and everything all over again. So excited about that. That's coming out again soon. Surprisingly, there is a new Transformers spinoff called Bumblebee. I've seen the first Transformers movie, did not like it at all. I know there have been 4 other movies. I've seen bits and pieces of them. Each one looks progressively worse than the last one. I have no interest in Michael Bay's Transformers. The gratuitous explosions, the gratuitous female body shots, none of it does anything for me. It's so bad. And it's like, I like Transformers. Why are you messing this up for me? So I was feeling a little cynical about Bumblebee. However, I've kind of learned a valuable lesson this year. I wasn't expecting too much from Rampage, and I wasn't expecting too much from Solo this year. And I ended up liking both of those movies much more than I thought I would. And I don't want to be a hater for hater's sake. I mean, I understand that, it's cool to be edgy and cynical and all that stuff. But after watching the trailer, it seems like there's almost a little bit of a vibe from Iron Giant in it, or E.T. So I find that it actually kind of had a heartwarming moment in it. And the fact that Bumblebee transforms into something that looks from a VW bug, yay for retro nostalgia, into something that actually looks like a robot and not a piece of modern art that is tumbling across the screen, I think that's a great improvement. It kind of makes you wonder, why did you turn into a giant tangled mess of garbage, in later films? But he looks like a car. He looks Bumblebee-ish enough for me. They showed Starscream in the trailer, which, again, looked great. Totally approve of the design. It actually looks like they're trying to have a fun, light adventure in it. And if they're actually going to try to make Transformers into a movie with a plot, I will give it a chance, which is something I didn't really ever think I'd be saying outside of the 86 film. Other films that look cool, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I really like the portrayal of Miles Morales in this. I think his dad steals the show in the trailers with some of the funniest lines, however. But being Spider-Verse, they're going to have all the different Spider-Men from Peter Parker to Spider-Gwen. I'm hoping Spider-Ham, please let there be Spider-Ham in this movie. And I'm hoping they'll just blend a bunch of different Spider heroes into this movie in one big, really cool thing. I love the animation in it. It looks like a cross between stop motion meets comic book art. And I think it looks really beautiful. They do some cool camera angles. I just like the whole style. They even have like little comic panels and things that switches from 3D to 2D. They're really experimenting with some cool new ideas. Miles seems interesting for a protagonist. I know Sony is doing everything they possibly can to drag out the Spider-Man license so they don't ever have to give it back to Disney. But at least they're nice in the sense that they're actually sharing Spider-Man with Disney, so he can be in future movies. It looks cool. I'm actually excited for that one as well. Another couple films that have come out have been Halloween. They're rebooting it, so this one takes place directly after Halloween 1. So Halloween 2 through all those other movies apparently don't matter or count anymore, which is fine because Halloween H2O sucked. One of the worst movies I've ever seen, and painfully short on that one, by the way. So it looks like they're doing some cool new things. Jamie Lee Curtis is back. I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who played Michael Myers in the 70s film is actually reprising his role. So they're really trying to straighten up Halloween, which, again, it's like I find it interesting. A lot of these movie franchises, in order to remain relevant and not because everyone gets mad about reboots, they're just trying to say, you know, the sequels you hated, they didn't happen. It's cool. Don't worry about it. So I think that's an interesting concept, an interesting idea that they're doing right now. So I'm interested in seeing Halloween, another franchise I gave up on a long time ago, although I do off me. Finally today, they did a trailer preview for The Nun, which is based off Valak, the nun from Conjuring 2. I really loved Conjuring 1 and 2. I thought those were great horror movies. I thought they were suspenseful. I thought they were creepy. I thought they pushed a lot of right buttons for me to actually make that suspenseful. Volume has gone down a bit. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer or speak up just a little bit. So is that a little bit better? Let me see if I can turn it up on my end. That's the joy of a live show. Anything can happen, and look at that. I wasn't kidding you. So The Nun could be cool. It could be an awful spinoff. You know, when they start making cinematic universes out of films that don't necessarily need to be made into a cinematic universe, we'll see how it goes. But it was creepy enough. Heard something thump the mic. Yeah, that was Frodo jumping off a few minutes ago. He's decided that he's had enough of sitting in my lap and has gone off to other parts of the guy lair, as it were. So a lot of good-looking movies coming out. I'm really excited about a number of films. So a little bit, I don't want to make this first live video too terribly long, just kind of give you an idea of some of the things going on right now. And I think that's, instead of making 80 videos about a bunch of different subjects, I figure I could wrap it all in one. So a little bit about Flix and Joystix. If you are here for the first time, welcome. And you probably are here for the first time, as this is a new channel. So obviously, I'm living up to my namesake. I'm talking about different movies, different video games. I've worked in the entertainment industry for a long time. I've managed to been lucky enough to work in both aspects. I have some cool stories. I've seen a lot of stuff to play with and watch. And yeah, it's you know, I'm excited. I love movies a lot, and I just want to share that love of them. So I know there's a lot of pop culture movies, and everyone has to focus on the latest Avengers or Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever is going on, you know, whatever franchise they're trying to reboot next. So I know a lot of people talk just about those movies. I want to talk about movies that I think are interesting, and hopefully you will as well. That means things that aren't probably talked about as much in terms of theaters, things I'd run across in Netflix, and then even older movies. I have a love of older movies. I grew up watching Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Elvira, so I have a real soft spot for old cheesy movies, and not all of them are cheesy. If you ever see movies like The Blob or Them, which are 1950s movies, but they're great, and they really kind of show a different time era. But then I also like cheesy stuff like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and Manos, The Hands of Fate. But I like everything from action, comedy, foreign, animated, you name it, I'll probably watch it. But so I want to talk about all these different movies that, again, hopefully, you know, I can share some of my enthusiasm. If you've never heard of it, then at least you have a reference point here. So if I'm able to share that, awesome. Again, with video games, I have a couple plans to talk about games. Longtime gamer. I grew up in the arcades. I've got a ton of games. I'm actually reorganizing my room right now. If you can see my floor, it's a disaster area of video games that I'm trying to reorganize and put back into storage. But I plan to do a couple things with this channel. I've got some great ideas. I plan to do everything from narrative films to documentaries. I love Route 66 and all the weird world's biggest stuff that you can find on roadside America. The missus, however, likes tiki culture, and so we collect tiki mugs and go to tiki bars and all that fun stuff, drinking fruity rum drinks. I enjoy that as well. So I've got some quirky hobbies and interests, and certainly I want to focus on sharing some of that with you. So if you're ever traveling, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that from that one video. That actually looked decent. So I want to be a guide in multiple aspects. And then, of course, as the video series goes on, you'll get to know more about me, more of my background stories. As I said, I've worked in the industry for a while. I don't want to drop everything in one video. I kind of want, it's like an oh, by the way thing. I always tend to just let people get to know me as we go on. This is an early video, so you'll get to know me. I plan to do a room tour eventually, again, when I get mentioned stuff off the ground and all properly organized and looking the way I want it to. And here, I'll actually show you. So obviously I have a bunch of stuff. That's an actual Disneyland park poster from 1964. So that thing is old. Somehow my family had this, and I just sort of acquired it. Obviously, I've got a couple Disney things. That is I can't do this without looking. There we go. And so that is the Lego Disney Castle that was released about a year or two ago. That thing took 2.5 weeks to build, and that was a nightmare, but it looks awesome. And so I've got a bunch of stuff. I definitely want to show everything off. So that will be another feature as well, to kind of show that, yeah, I'm kind of strange and, love having fun with stuff like this. So really, that's everything I want to talk about. There's a ton of videos that will be already that I'm working on right now, but I wanted to talk a little bit about E3 because I'm always excited. I'm always a little bit nostalgic. I miss it. I went to some of the early E3s in the mid 1990s and early 2000s. So I saw a bunch of stuff, and it's a fun show. If you ever get a chance, whether you know somebody or you manage to get a ticket, I'd highly recommend going. I have a real genuine soft spot for E3, and it's, again, even for someone who worked in all that for a while, there's still a genuine rush all these years later of seeing these games and getting a chance to play them before they're done, play them before people have gotten a chance to even get their hands on them. You're one of the first outside of the people that work at these companies. So it's a Willy Wonka experience, to be sure. And I'll probably feature a couple other things. I'm still setting up everything. I'm still getting better equipment. I'm a new channel. So if you're watching this when it actually did come out, thank you for stopping by. I hope you had fun with this. I definitely plan to do some other great ideas. But in the meantime, so obviously you've guys been watching E3 as well. That's probably how you found this. What games have been interesting you? What games do you feel that I missed that I should know about? What games, what's getting you excited this year at E3? Definitely share some of your own thoughts. And, certainly if you like any of the movies as well, let me know what you're thinking. I just want to hear back from you. Share some comments. Obviously the whole Kishy like, subscribe, comment thing. I'd appreciate it. Hopefully I'll keep making content that you like. And if you have suggestions for things that you'd like me to cover, then just let me know. I'm pretty open at this point. This is all undiscovered country right now. So anyway, thank you for stopping by for my first video. I appreciate everyone who will take the time to watch this later. And certainly thank you to Doombot for watching this video right now. It's a new channel. There's always a slow start. But thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you for the next live video. I'll probably do them about every 2 weeks or so. That's the given shtick right now. We'll see how that happens. Again, always a work in progress. Take care.